Stop it. That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, please, sir.
Yes.
All right, proceed. Stop.
Now to the latest on that deadly shooting at a Walmart in Mississippi. This morning, we're learning about more about the victims killed by a disgruntled employee who opened fire, injuring a police officer before he was taken down.
Good morning to you, Cecilia. This 24-hour Walmart remains closed this morning as investigators continue to look into a fire that they say this accused gunman set. The accused gunman was shot and had to have surgery. One of their officers was also shot and is alive this morning because of his bulletproof vest.
Mr. Gale is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Okay, proceed. Stop it. Okay, look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
And you admit that you shot him in cold blood?
Yes.
Proceed.
Walmart's history is unfortunately punctuated by a series of harrowing events, serving as a stark reminder of the violence that has occurred within its premises. The first known incident took place in 1999 when a man in Wisconsin, fueled by a deranged fury, ended the lives of his former girlfriend and her soon-to-be husband before ending his own life. In 2002, a seemingly minor act of shoplifting in Philadelphia took a deadly turn when the perpetrator shot a security guard in the chest. A few years later, in 2003, a customer in New Mexico found himself in the role of an executioner, shooting a man who had entered the store with the intention of hurting his former wife with a sharp weapon. The violence continued to escalate over the years. In 2009, a Walmart employee in North Carolina transformed the workplace into a scene of horror by holding 15 coworkers hostage. The following year in Reno, an employee vented his frustration on his colleagues, shooting 3 of them. In 2014, a married couple embarked on a murderous rampage that ended inside a Las Vegas Walmart. Just 2 months later, a customer in Ohio was mistakenly shot and killed by police who believed the BB gun he had picked up from a shelf was a real weapon. In 2015, a tragic accident occurred when a child in Idaho unintentionally shot his mother with her concealed weapon. The following year witnessed a murder in a Texas Walmart, and in 2017, a lone gunman terrorized customers in a Colorado store. Another horrifying incident took place just days before the El Paso massacre that claimed 22 lives. Martez Abram, a recently suspended Walmart employee, returned to his Mississippi store not as a worker, but as a harbinger of death. He shot and killed 2 of his former colleagues, continuing the horrific Walmart shooting trend.
Throughout history, there have been people who have committed some of the most heinous crimes fathomable. For those crimes, they have been convicted and sentenced to death. Welcome to Death Row Executions, where we take a look into the lives of society's worst offenders. And now, your host, Air.
Growing up, many considered Martez to be a regular child. When he was 19 years old, he decided to go on an interview at a Walmart store in South Haven, Mississippi. He was hired. Martez was a loyal employee, and although other employees said that he would often cause issues at the store, that did not prevent him from working there. In fact, Martez said he was on his way to becoming a supervisor. 25 years had passed, and Martez was still a faithful employee. In July of 2019, reports say that Martez had a confrontation or disagreement with a fellow employee. Some accounts say that this employee was his subordinate, so who knows if Martez felt this employee was beneath him. Although no threats were made and he did not brandish the knife that was on him, he did show the employee that he had a knife on him. The employee immediately reported the incident, and Martez was called into the back office to speak with Walmart manager Anthony Brown. The police were also called, and a report was made. Martez was not arrested for this incident, but he was suspended from Walmart on July 27, 2019. Martez believed his suspension would soon be up and he would get to go back to work. Things did not go his way because 2 days later, on July 29, 2019, Martez was notified that he was officially fired and was not welcome back at Walmart. This was the only job Martez knew, and Walmart was his life. He felt betrayed and was not okay with not being able to come back to work. Martez now had his mind on revenge. He felt that he never threatened or used his weapon days before, but now he would. Who knows if he was motivated by previous Walmart shootings or by a shooting that took place on July 28, 2019, when 19-year-old Santino William Ligon shot and killed 3 people at the Gilroy Garlic Festival, but Martez felt that he needed to do something similar. He decided to write a note to himself so that he would not forget his plans. The note read, "Things I need to fill. Fill gas thing, get rented car, get gas, and fill container. 5:30, be there." Martez followed through with his note. He filled up on gas and drove to the Memphis International Airport to look for a car to rent. He decided to pick up a Kia Soul. After renting the Kia Soul, he filled up 2 one-gallon jugs of gasoline and stocked his car with guns, body armor, and other weapons. Now, Martez was ready to fulfill his sinister plans. It was a chilly morning on January 30th, 2019. The sun had barely risen, casting long shadows on the Walmart Supercenter in South Haven, Mississippi. It was around 6 in the morning. The store was just beginning to buzz with the early morning customers, the employees were stocking shelves, and the cash registers were starting to ring. 39-year-old Martez, who had been a familiar face at this Walmart for 25 years, parked his car in the Walmart parking lot and made his way to the entrance. He was wearing a backpack containing weapons and one of his one-gallon jugs of gasoline. The other jug was left in his car for backup. Martez was known to most of the employees and regular customers, but that day something was different. There was a certain tension in his demeanor, a stark contrast to the otherwise ordinary day. In the parking lot, he saw the very man that had suspended and then fired him, Anthony Brown. Martez shot and killed Anthony Brown and then made his way inside of the store to look for another employee.
I'm thinking, why is he running into the store, And just about 30 seconds later, we see 2 people run out of the store and then just a flood of people leaving.
Martez walked through the aisles he had known so well, past the shelves he had stocked countless times. His steps echoed ominously in the vast expanse of the store. Shots rang out, reverberating through the store. Panic ensued as customers and employees alike tried to comprehend what was happening. Martez was successful in fatally shooting employee Brandon Gales. So the victims of this tragic incident were 40-year-old Anthony Brown, the store manager who had issued Martez's suspension, and 38-year-old Brandon Gales, another longtime employee. Brandon Gales had been working at the Walmart for more than 15 years, and he was a father to 3 children. After killing his 2 victims, Martez started a fire inside, using the gallon jug of gasoline he was carrying inside of his backpack. After starting the fire, Martez made his way to the parking lot again, where passers-by were all over the place. One woman, who was also a Walmart employee, was in the parking lot when Martez walked out, and the 2 made eye contact. Martez recognized this employee, pointed his gun at her, and said, "You're next." Fearing for her life, the employee ran away and hid in the parking lot. Thankfully, she was not shot at, and she was able to remain hidden from Martez until police arrived. It seemed like a lot had happened, but a lot more could have happened. It didn't because police from 2 different jurisdictions made it to the Walmart within 3 minutes of being called.
All right, well, look, first, before I do anything else or take any questions, I want to show you something. When this case first got turned in, this is the binder that the South Haven Police Department turned in. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because normally when you turn a case in, it has the defendant's name and the defendant's picture. But from the first day that this unit started working on this case, it was never about the defendant. It was about the victims. And that's what this trial was about this week, was to protect and to serve the victims and to make sure that they got justice. So I'm extremely satisfied with the outcome. But I also want to say that if it weren't for the quick response of the South Haven Police Department and the Horn Lake Police Department, this would have been a much bigger tragedy. The fact that they were there within 3 minutes saved multiple lives. I have no doubt about that. Had this man been allowed to get to his car, he had an AK-47, a ballistic vest, multiple rounds, and I do believe he intended further harm. So first, let me make sure that the first thing I will always say is that the reason why DeSoto County is safe, and it's a good place to live and a safe place to live, is because of our law enforcement.
The first officer spotted Martez in the parking lot and ordered him to drop his weapon. Instead of following commands, Martez shot the officer. Although the officer went down and was injured, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. A second officer then confronted Martez and shot him twice in order to disarm him. Martez was immediately arrested, but he was not yet taken to jail. Because he was shot twice, paramedics had taken him to the Regional 1 Medical Center in Memphis. The Walmart store this incident occurred bordered Mississippi and Tennessee, so that is why they chose the hospital in Memphis. Once Martez healed from his wounds, authorities extradited him back to Mississippi so that he could be locked up and await his trial. Martez was charged with 2 counts of capital murder and 1 count of attempted murder because of the police officer he shot. The trial for Martez Abram began on Tuesday, November 28, 2022. When defense questioned Martez on the stand, they talked about how long he had been working at Walmart and how he was moving up in positions. He talked about the confrontation that happened a couple of days prior, and then on the stand, he told the court that he was suffering from memory loss and did not recall the sequence of events the day he committed a double homicide. He was quoted saying, "I remember running in and I remember running out. I just remember running. I didn't even know it was me." The courtroom watched Walmart surveillance video of Martez on the day of the shooting. Martez was still on the stand and was made to watch the horrific events unfold. They all saw Martez shoot and kill Anthony in the parking lot first, and then go inside of the store to kill Brandon. Martez, despite saying he had memory loss, confirmed that he indeed was the shooter and was responsible for killing Anthony and Brandon. His exact words were, "That's me. I take responsibility for it."
Stop. That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, please, sir.
Yes.
All right, proceed. Stop. Mr. Gale is on the floor going down to the point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay. That's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Okay, proceed. Stop. Look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
Can you admit that you shot him in cold blood?
Yes.
Proceed. And then stop. You shot him again, didn't you?
Yes.
While he's on the floor. Yes? You're going to watch it, so I don't want to play with you. There. Play it. There. You shot it again, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, proceed. Now, after that, you went back to the toilet paper roll, didn't you?
Yes.
Lit the store on fire.
District Attorney Robert Morris was the lead prosecutor in the case. He presented the note that Martez had written. He also presented all of the weapons that were taken from the Kia Soul Martez had rented. Attorney Morris also asserted his belief that the fire that was started inside of the Walmart was pre-planned and that killing Anthony and Brandon merited a capital murder conviction or a death penalty conviction. So the plan to commit arson and killing during the commission of that crime warrants death, and Attorney Morris said that that should be the only conviction. Although with capital murder, you can be given life without parole or the death penalty, prosecutors were asking for the harshest sentence and did not want Martez to be found guilty of first-degree murder, where he would get the possibility of parole if he was sentenced to life. There were important testimonies that helped jurors get a clearer picture of what happened that day. Emotional testimonies played a pivotal role in his conviction. Kathy Caston, a fellow Walmart employee, delivered a heart-wrenching account of the moments following the shooting of Anthony Brown. She vividly recalled Anthony lying on the ground, his eyes open in a pool of blood. In her testimony, she recounted her desperate plea to Anthony to say her name one more time. In a scary turn of events, Kathy testified that Martez approached her shortly after and declared, "You're next." Officer Brandon Billingsley, who was wounded by Martez, also took to the stand. He recounted the moment when he was shot, describing the pressure of the bullet hitting his back and the brief blackout that followed. The reactions from the victims' families were equally poignant. These testimonies, filled with raw emotion and stark details, were instrumental in the court's decision, painting a vivid picture of the tragic events that unfolded that day. The jury believed Martez was guilty, and they found him guilty of 2 counts of capital murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
Did the jury reach a unanimous verdict on each of the 3 counts? Yes. All right. If you'll pass the note to the clerk, please. Madam Clerk, will you please read the verdict out loud?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Martez Terrell Abram, guilty of capital murder in count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Martez Terrell Abram, guilty of capital murder in count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Martez Terrell Abram, guilty of attempted murder in count 3.
Would anyone like the jury polled?
Now they had to deliberate and come up with a sentence. Would they side with the defense and grant life without parole, or will they agree with the prosecutor and sentence Martez to death? The sentencing was held Friday, December 2nd, 2022, and it began at 8:30 in the morning. After only 55 minutes of deliberation, the jury came back and sentenced Martez Abram to death for the 2 capital murder counts and life for the attempted murder count. People in support of Martez expressed their profound grief and the difficulty they faced in coming to terms with his death sentence. Michelle Parks, Martez's former stepmother, acknowledged his crimes but voiced her belief that the punishment was too severe. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching another episode of Death Row Executions.